You may not have heard about Samuel Colt, but you probably have heard about revolvers. This is a story about the inventor of the modern revolver and how he broke the barriers in technological innovation, mass production, and marketing at the global scale to achieve an unparalleled success during the Industrial Revolution. Born in 1814, Hartford, Connecticut, to a family of silk manufacturers, Samuel Colt was interested in his father's silk factory workshops and experiments, and was an avid learner who loved to toy with trinkets. Colt developed a strong interest in mechanics and was fascinated by inventions of his age. In 1830, his stepmother sent him out to learn navigation as a sailor at the fruitful age of 15. It was during this journey Colt conceived his first mission, a practical revolver. Firearm was rapidly developing during this time, and there was a need for a practical, durable, and dependable repeating firing gun. There had been many attempts to create such firearm, and they all failed for a variety of reasons. For example, reloading the gun was clumsy. You had to manually handle the gun barrel, and added up with the time it took to reload the gun itself, it was simply too tedious. None of these major issues were solved until Samuel Colt came along. While killing his time on board the ship Corvo, on a whim, young Samuel observed the turning wheel with a locking mechanism on the ship, and saw its resemblance to that of a rotating barrel. Shortly after coming up with the idea, he soon started to carve out the design of his gun, along with his active duties as a shipman. This founded the idea, known today as the rotary cylinder, which some guns still use efficiently. This was the signature innovation in Colt's famous weaponry. To make the gun truly multi-shot, he developed a clever design for a rotating barrel, unlike any guns before. His revolver would rotate on its own when fired, making it possible to achieve a high rate of fire in a short amount of time. Colt's ingenious design eventually won him the patent from the U.S. Patent Office in 1836. Colt's invention was a great leap forward in multi-shot firearm design. Colt's magnificent story did not end here. No, far from it. Because to be truly successful, it is not enough just to have a great invention. Many good inventions at his time did not translate to successful products in the end. History was laden with good ideas that never bore fruit. One barrier for many inventors was the transition from workshop to mass production. It was very challenging in the early 19th century, when mass production was not very well established. Colt had similar issues at his time. After inventing the revolver, he enthusiastically hired a gunsmith to create his weapon, opened his factory, and started to turn his idea into a product. However, nothing was so simple. Colt ran into a multitude of different problems. The firearms were simply too expensive to make, and by selling them, Colt was actually losing money instead of making it. And in the end, Colt's first gun factory in Paterson, New Jersey, had to shut down. He did not give up. Samuel Colt got to work, perfecting his designs for his newer gun models, and greatly reducing production costs and increasing production speed by using innovative production methods. Colt envisioned to use interchangeable parts and assembly lines to solve many of his problems associated with mass producing his gun. Parts were standardized and prefabricated, and the final products would be assembled by hand. Colt employed many machines in his factory to build parts to improve production efficiency. With interchangeable parts and assembly lines, Colt's factory would eventually turn out an impressive 150 weapons per day in 1856. No small feat for a complex manufacturing process at his time. As Colt slowly built up his success, he needed a bigger factory to achieve better efficiency. In 1855, he built a massive factory, the Colt Armory, at Hartford, Connecticut. It was built on 260 acres of land. It was the world's largest firearm production factory of his time. The Great Colt Armory still stands today in Hartford, and it is a symbol of the 19th century manufacturing power of Connecticut. Even with an innovative product and mass production capability, Colt still could not achieve the kind of success he had if he was not able to sell his revolvers. To truly realize the potential of his innovation, Colt needed to reach out to the mass market to sell his mass-produced products to both the military and civilian customers alike, and to fight off counterfeit and copycats. Mass marketing was probably the most challenging barrier that Colt had to break. In the mid-19th century, modern marketing was a concept that was not well developed at all. Again, Colt's ingenuity allowed him to innovate. Colt made his first breakthrough with the U.S. Army during the Mexican-American War. It was an armed conflict fought between the United States and Mexico from 1846 to 1848. Samuel Colt had been selling some of his guns to the Texan Rangers, the Texas military at the time, who were involved with this conflict greatly. This initial success opened the door for Colt's arms sales to the military. During the Civil War, Colt sold numerous guns to both the North and the South. He sold nearly 150,000 firearms to the Union alone. Colt's most lasting success was his ability to ride the wave of the westward expansion and make his revolver an icon that we still associate with the movement today. Colt was keen to advertise his weapons as an effective way to protect individual freedom and rights against all perils, something that was valued by the Western expansion pioneers greatly. He famously named his best-selling revolver the Peacemaker and said, "The good people of this world are very far from being satisfied with each other, and my arm are the best peacemakers." Another quote was, "God made men, but Samuel Colt made them equal." Colt pioneered the idea of product placement. He paid reporters to write news stories that contained favorable opinions of Colt's firearms or unfavorable opinions of Colt's competition. He commissioned artists to create many artworks that displayed Colt's firearms prominently in an attempt to promote the brand image. But Colt did not stop there. He had an ambition to sell his firearms to the global market very early on. He was very good at using his celebrity status to make political connections with foreign dignitaries. He was arguably the first businessman turned into a global celebrity. He frequently sent specially engraved revolvers as gifts to foreign leaders. He sold his firearms as far as Russia, the Ottoman Empire, and even Siamese. He was able to maintain good business relationships via personal connections and sell arms to both Russia and the Ottoman Empire, two regional rivals who often engaged in armed conflicts. Samuel Colt died in 1862, but he left a mixed legacy and a lasting impact on America and the world, much of which is still relevant today.
It's interesting to note that the assembly line techniques used by Samuel Colt to manufacture his pistols were studied and used by an automobile manufacturer by the name of Henry Ford.
By breaking the barrier of mass marketing, he pioneered many modern marketing concepts. His marketing approach to personify products with his individual fame had probably inspired many in today's world. Perhaps the most controversial legacy of Samuel Colt was his impact on gun culture in America. Colt's success of marketing firearms to the Western expansion had majorly contributed to the idea that gun is a symbol of freedom and individualism. In conclusion, Samuel Colt, through his unique combination of technical, manufacturing, and marketing innovation, broke many barriers in his day and inspired many generations of entrepreneurs. He stood out as a giant in the 19th century industrial world, and his work and achievement helped shape the world we live in today. Samuel Colt was a true American genius.